to the point today, another
The the Duke Dennis situation is bad.
day, another streamer being sued. Who could have seen this coming? It has honestly gotten to the point where I don't think I could hear anything negative about pretty much like any streamer, at least like any mainstream streamer, and be surprised about it, which is really a daunting thought, considering that these guys are influencing the youth in a massive way. What's even worse is that I think I would be genuinely shocked if I ever heard a single positive thing about any of the like top 100 streamers on the planet right now. That's probably not gonna have any like
I ain't gonna lie. I feel like that's definitely a stretch though, because I feel like there are a lot of good ass streamers that are like top 100%. I feel like that's a stretch, but that's by the way.
lasting effects, right? Imagine being the ripe old age of 32 and being arrested and then sued for over $1 million because you wanted to play a game of hide and seek. Now, if I'm being honest, I would really hope that the vast majority of you would have quite the difficult time imagining such a thing. Just doesn't really seem to be something that most people would be able to picture themselves doing, you would think. But for some out there, hopefully just a handful, there's no imagination required because it is just their reality. Recently, the streamer Duke Dennis and a few other people have found themselves in the middle of a lawsuit that's seeking
Security officer files $1 million suits against AMP Duke Dennis over San Antonio Mall incident. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. A million is a stretch though. A million. I feel like that's a stretch though. That's a stretch. I feel like, I mean, that's weird though in a way. It's weird. I feel like an appropriate amount would be probably like 200K, 300K, maybe. But for a million, bro, I don't think it's worth that much of money.
over $1 million in compensation because of a game of hide and seek that went sideways. It's a wacky world we're living in, guys. So yeah, basically, if you haven't heard, back in August of 2025, Duke Dennis and some other AMP members, which if you don't know what AMP is, basically
According to the San Antonio Express News, security officer Don White filed a lawsuit in state district court after an incident at the shops at River Center Mall on August 2nd, 2025. White claims AMP members were given limited permission to film inside specific areas of the mall, but went beyond those restrictions and continued live streaming after the mall had closed. The lawsuit alleges White and other security staff told the group to leave before police were called to remove people playing hide and seek throughout the property. Now, if it's just based on what I just read right now, I feel like that's a crazy ass thing to do, to sue for $1 million just because they didn't leave on time. I ain't gonna lie, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
it's like a streaming collective that Duke Dennis is also a member of. We're live streaming a game of hide and seek at the shops at River Center, which is a shopping mall in San Antonio. And from what I can tell, it's a little vague based off what I've read, but it does seem like they had permission to film this at this shopping center. But it looks like during them filming, they went outside the boundaries of what was agreed on, and they started filming in areas they weren't supposed to be, and also they stayed on the property past closing time. Now, that's not really what the lawsuit's about. Duke Dennis did end up getting arrested for that partially, but we'll talk about that.
Dennis was charged with criminal trespassing and evading arrest. However, the Express News reports those misdemeanor charges were later dismissed after he completed a pre-trial diversion program. Man, Duke Dennis, bro, why are you evading arrest, bro? That's crazy. Evading arrest? Yeah.
More later. What the lawsuit is actually about is a security guard named Don White approached the streamers to tell them, hey, you can't be doing what you're doing. And because of this, a member of the AMP security team, a guy named Levon Clark, punched the mall security guard in the face. Why so many of these streamers hire these dudes who think that they can just punch anybody who says anything that the streamer doesn't like in the face? I don't really understand. Well, I guess I do. Most modern
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I ain't gonna lie. So, I mean, you can't really tell your what's the word now? You can't really tell your security guard what to do, right? I mean, you can tell him what to do. You can tell him, yo, don't hit anyone, don't punch anyone, and they can still do it. I don't see Duke Dennis as the kind of person that would, you know what I mean, that's gonna tell the security guy, yo, punch that nigga right in his mouth or something like that. That's crazy. So I feel like I don't feel like he told him. I feel like he just, reacted on instincts, or they were in some kind of altercation or anything happened and you just like punched him or something like that. I don't know. But I don't feel like Duke Dennis is the kind of person that, does that kind of thing.
Streamers do seem like the type of people who would like to punch a person in the face if they say something that they don't like, but are too scared to do so. So, guess that makes perfect sense, actually. But the small security guard was punched in the face for, doing his job, and he's the one who's filing this lawsuit. Like I mentioned earlier, the lawsuit is seeking over $1 million from AMP Entertainment. And while I can't find any, hard specific details about this, it seems like Duke Dennis is who the guy is trying to get the most money from, which I guess would make sense since it seems like it kind of stemmed from an interaction between him and Duke. But multiple people and entities are named as defendants in the lawsuit, including...
I'm telling you, bro, the security guard probably so Duke, wearing some chains, bro, wearing some grills and shit. I'm like, yo, this nigga got money, bro. So once the nigga punched him in his jaw and something, right, Nick was like, yeah. That's it. I mean, if I was a security guard, I feel like I would have done that too. I feel like I would have done that, but I wouldn't have probably asked for about $1 million because $1 million is a lot of money, bro. Like $1 million, even 500,000 is a lot of money, bro. Like for being punched in the mouth, yo, at least do something reasonable, bro. Like 200K, 300K. That's a good amount of money, bro. But $1 million is that's crazy. That's a stretch, bro. That's a stretch.
AMP Entertainment, Duke Dennis, Kai Cenat, a producer named Henry Wolf, a content manager named Joshua Pujols, and the private security guard Levon Clark. The lawsuit says that Don White suffered injuries that required emergency room treatment, and that he's seeking these damages for medical expenses, pain and suffering, and lost earning capacity. And honestly, I hope he wins every single fucking dollar of it. You guys know that I'm not the biggest fan of the modern day streaming world, and unfortunately, it seems to be full of shit like this all the time. Dudes who have either never had a real job other than streaming, or dudes who have just been streaming for so damn long that they get so out of touch and entitled, and they think they can do shit like this with absolutely no repercussions. And honestly, it's just annoying as fuck. People should not be getting assaulted for doing their job because grown-ass men, dudes in their 30s, want to live stream a game of fucking hide and seek. Now, it looks like so far nobody representing AMP or nobody that's a part of AMP has commented on any of this. They're probably being told not to. The only person who seemed to respond to anything was the attorney that's representing the security guard for AMP, and he said that Mr. Clark has and continues to maintain his innocence pertaining to these claims of wrongdoing. While only a limited amount of evidence is currently available to the public, we believe the totality of evidence will demonstrate the allegations lack merits. Which is interesting because on top of the, security guard on security guard violence, authorities are also alleging that Clark interfered with the arrest and injured an officer during the confrontation. So,
yo, Duke, word from me to you, don't have security guards that interfere with the arrest, bro. Don't have that. Before you hire someone, just check their credentials, do background check, and check their mental too, because you can never know what someone is thinking or what someone is feeling, bro. Gotta luck with this kind of stuff, bro, because now you see your security guard is trying to help you evade the arrest, bro. So and I'm sure that's a criminal. You can be criminally charged for that. So yo, get your acts right, bro. You can't be hiring someone like that, bro. Nah.
I mean, it doesn't look great for the guy, I feel. Right now, he's facing multiple felony charges, including 2 counts of assault on a peace officer and 1 count of assault on a security officer. Like I mentioned earlier, Duke Dennis was also arrested when all this went down, and he was charged with criminal trespassing and evading arrest, but I think eventually those charges were dismissed. He did have to spend some time in jail, though, and when he got out and returned to streaming, he had this to say about this whole incident.
I know, y'all want to hear about, the whole jail. But to be honest, I can't even talk about it. What I can say is the whole thing was just a big misunderstanding, miscommunication mostly. The thing about us, bro, the thing about me, bro, I'm not the type of content creator that's going like risk my freedom for the content. Content ain't that deep for me. Like it's not that deep to me. It never will be. Like I said, this shit was a big ass misunderstanding, big ass miscommunication.
And really, that's all he has to say about it. He does repeat himself a few more times during this like comeback stream, but he just keeps referring to it as a miscommunication, a misunderstanding, and like, you know, maybe there was a miscommunication between like the mall security and AMP's team, but I feel like if we're being honest with ourselves here, if the whole like you'd never risk your freedom for content thing is true, and it really was just a misunderstanding, the second the cops showed up, you would have been like, oh shit, this isn't worth it. Let me not evade arrest. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just seems a little contradictory to me to say something like this when a security guard for the mall walked up to you and said, hey, you can't be here. You had your security punch him in the face, and then you run from the cops when they...
I ain't gonna lie. So I feel like this guy right here is hating, bro. I feel like this guy's hating right now because, like he said, he's not too fond of streamers, right? So I feel like he's taking a very, very, biased stance, being on the negative end. And I'm always going to try to, keep straight, be as neutral as possible. I feel like Duke Dennis is that kind of person that will tell the security guard to, evade arrest and, punch someone at the, in their mouth area, in their jaw and something like that. I don't feel like Duke is that kind of person. That's, by the way, that's the first one. The second thing is the evading of arrest something. I feel like it might have been, yo, what am I getting arrested for? What did I do? He's trying to explain himself out, and they might call it, evading of arrest, but I don't feel like it's actually like evading arrest. He's trying to like ask, yo, what did I do, cops? What did I do? Some type shit like that, right? So I feel like that's what he did, or that's what he would have done, but I don't feel like, because I've seen this niggas, right? I've seen this niggas like, and I don't feel like they're the kind of person that's gonna, act like that. He knows what it's worth, bro. It's not worth like, risking your life for this type of thing, bro. So, and he said it himself, so I'm just yapping, bro.
show up. Like, just based off how contradictory that is, it makes me not really trust what he has to say on this incident. Anyways, I mean, I'm curious to see what comes of this. I feel like this guy has a pretty strong leg to stand on, because this news article says that the security guard, the one that was assaulted, his employment status could not immediately be determined, but state records indicate that he is no longer licensed as a security officer in Texas. So, I mean, it does seem like he lost his job, maybe lost some certification based off this incident, which, surprise, surprise, definitely helps a lawsuit where you're seeking lost earning capacity. Like I said,
I ain't gonna lie, blood. If I was the one, I would have definitely sued, bro. I would have sued, and I lost my job, and I was in the emergency unit, bro. Nah, I would have sued like crazy. But I think the max I would have done was like 500K, bro. But like, if I'm tripping, bro, I'd have probably done like 1,000, 1,000,000, bro. But that's still crazy amount of money, and I probably won't do that. But I feel like, he has the right to sue, bro. Like, yeah. I mean, he did get injured and he lost his job, so that's understandable. Understandable.
Earlier though, I really do hope that this guy wins every single dollar that he's seeking. I really feel like it is time to do away with this content strategy of like basically making the public and the people trying to use the public like pawns for your content. The entitlement of streamers and really just any sort of influencer or content creator these days, but I do feel like it's the worst with streamers. It's just gotten to a point where it's out of hands. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the idea of a guy being assaulted for just doing his job because a bunch of grown men wanted to play hide and seek in a mall after it closed is truthfully like depressing. And I just really don't understand where these streamers get this sort of ego. I guess it's because most of them just surround themselves with yes men constantly. They're just not used to being told no. And again, like I said earlier, a lot of them have never worked a job other than just being famous on the internet, which I feel like has got to be bad for you as an adult. And it just leads to us seeing shit like this from streamers all the time. I mean, how many times have we heard about a streamer's bodyguard punching somebody for no reason? It's just out of hand.
I ain't gonna lie. So I feel like that what he just said right there, I feel like that's a valid point, right? Because if you don't, well, I wouldn't say that though, but I would say I believe what he said right there. If you don't have if you haven't worked like an actual job, if you haven't worked like, I won't say fast food, but like if you haven't done something that gets you bread, you won't know like the value of work. You won't know the value of hard work. But I feel like because You know, being a streamer, well, before you're a streamer, you have to like keep on grinding constantly. You have to be online every day, streaming for hours on end, bro. And I'm sure for a fact that they didn't just pop off immediately they started. I'm sure they had a period whereby they were like streaming, putting in hours, and there was like no feedback, no views, no nothing, and they just had to, push through and everything. So I feel like because you've had that moment, I feel like they already, they kind of understand the value of money. But it's been a long time since they had that moment, so they kind of grew, or they're kind of they don't they've lost what's the word now? They've lost touch with reality. But I mean, it's what it is, though. It's what it is. I mean, there's nothing much I can say about this what he's just saying right now. But it's a good take. Duke Dennis, don't hire people that's gonna keep you in trouble. They're gonna put you in trouble. I don't hire people that are gonna assault people. You're a streamer. People are always on your back, so you have to make your life easier for yourself, bro. You have to like really, really lock in. That's by the way. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna see you all later. Bye.